All right, for more on this, we're now joined by Mansoor Adayfi, who joins us from Belgrade. Mansoor, good to have you. You spent nearly 15 years at Guantanamo Bay, and I see that you have the number 441 on your top. That's your, quote, a detainee number while you're there. I mean, during your time there, you led prison riots, hunger strikes. You were affectionately called the smiley troublemaker. Help us understand what happened there.
Basically, now today we marks the 20th anniversary of Guantanamo, 7,306 days of the opening of the place, 20 years of injustice, 20 years of torture, 20 years of oppression, 20 years of indefinite detention. You know, what happened at Guantanamo, as you know, Guantanamo was established out of the legal system, and intentionally by George W. Bush administration, that place was selected so they don't want to apply any kind of rule or law or constitution in that place. This is what the situation is. And as we know all that, according to a CLU and Seton Hall University report, that 86% of the prisoners who were in Guantanamo were either mistaken identity or sold for bounty money. This is Guantanamo. You know, around 800 men detained or imprisoned at Guantanamo. 9 men died there, and still 30 men remain there. At least by yesterday, 18 men has been cleared for release. Some of the men have been cleared since 2009, and over a decade they are still at Guantanamo. We are talking about the failure of American justice system. We are fighting for the closure of Guantanamo, and we are fighting for justice to American justice system.
Okay, we'll talk about your thoughts on the closure in just a bit, but you said that Guantanamo, or Gitmo as it's called, was born out of the legal system. I mean, the phrase that the United States uses for people at Guantanamo still today is detainees and not prisoners. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this perhaps carefully crafted step around.
You know, George W. Bush and his gang or administration, they were really keen in selecting the words. You know, they constructed the word to empty the meaning, but the reality is still the reality. You know, they call war on Muslim, they call it war on terror. We call it actually Muslim, we call it war of terror. They call rendition, it's actually kidnapping. They call enhanced interrogation technique, it's torture. They call detainees as prisoners of war to deprive those men of their basic right, of the human right, whether under any law. So basically, you know, being at Guantanamo, no law about that place, and around 800 men housed there, they weren't in the battlefield. You cannot even call them prisoners of war, because those men were brought from different parts of the world, around over 50 nationalities, over 20 languages spoken. Many countries either handed over those prisoners, or many of them, as we mentioned in the report of ACLU and Seton Hall, were sold for bounty money. 50 nationalities were brought from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, United Arab Emirates, from Bosnia, from Mauritania, from Africa. The CIA used to hand millions of dollars to buy those prisoners, and some of the countries hand over those prisoners to the Americans. Basically, this is the case here. So basically, the word detainee and detention, they chose that carefully, that our case doesn't fit under any law or even Geneva Convention. This is the way. It's like playing around the rule.
Mansoor, the initial incarcerations were driven by fear, without a doubt, in a post 9/11 world. 20 years later, only 2 of the almost 780 prisoners sent to Gitmo have been convicted of anything. I've listened to lawyers, I've listened to human rights activists, but as a former inmate, tell me why you think it should be closed.
You know, Guantanamo should be closed because it is morally, ethically, legally, should be closed. It shouldn't be established at that place in the first place. Even what happened, never any criminal in the world, regardless, there should be basic human right for everyone. what the United States government did, it actually legislating and make a marginal road for other countries to behave as such. And now we are seeing many countries start behaving like United States. They created their own Guantanamo and their own under their own rule. So basically, we are calling for the closure of Guantanamo. We are not for the physical place. We are also calling for to abolish the idea behind Guantanamo. No one should be indefinitely detained or stripped of his freedom based on suspicion. We are calling for justice. Last year we sent a letter to President Biden called 8-point plan to close Guantanamo. And it was simple and easy. Anyone who should accused of any crime or should be tried and should be sentenced. Simple as that.
Yeah.
The men who are still being held there and should be released.
All right, Mansoor, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Mansoor Adayfi, it's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.